What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. It is February 21st, 2024. That's right, it's Wednesday. It's off from our regular time. Hopefully, this is going to become a regular thing that one of us is too busy to be here on Tuesday. This is episode 24, and I am your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co host, Derek Kwan.
What's up, everyone?
All right, so this week we will start, as usual, going over the results from last week's LAPC.
And we're also going to talk a little about how Ty made the final table of the LAPC Millions.
Oh, spoiler alert. Jeez, I was trying to keep it on the down low. Also, we'll quick check around town. There's a slight change to the bike schedule, and the Gardens has posted their full SoCAL spring schedule.
And speaking of schedules, the WSOP summer schedule is out. We're going to go over some interesting events and some interesting changes.
Yeah, they had some neat stuff on there, some neat things going on. I can't wait, especially now that I can afford to play. And then there has been some Twitter debate the last couple days about what the best cash percentage is, what the best payout structures are, who benefits the most from these different things. We'll touch on that a little bit. We'll weigh in it with our 2 cents.
And we got a big crossbook going on in the World Series between Berkey and Dnegs, where they're betting on Landon and Mr. JBecks. We're going to talk a little bit about that bet and their playing styles.
Isn't that kind of funny? Like JBecks and Dnegs, they got kind of similar little nicknames there. It's kind of like I feel like I'm in high school. It's weird. Anyways,
and Dnegs is a big fan of his too.
Yeah, seriously, it's weird. It's weird. In order to be in their crew, you got to go by initial name. And then in a similar vein, kind of got us thinking. And there was a post out there on Twitter a while ago by Mr. Jeremy Hamey asking, what local LA players would you buy pieces of if you had the chance?
And then we're going to wrap up with the weekly roundup.
All right. So let's just dive right in, shall we? It has been a busy weekend, despite there being, not a ton of results. And, before we even talk about the results of LAPC, Matt Savage jumped on Twitter with a little throwback right here from 7 years ago. Look at this picture. We have the LAPC from 7 years ago, just a scant 7 years ago. Phil Hellmuth, Rich Mike Mattisau at the final table of something. All the regs sitting around watching. I think I see Taxi there in the background. Oh, man. These were the days that I never got to see, but I hope that we do again. What can we do? I mean, we're close. We got to be close, right?
Yeah, I was actually, there during this time, playing tournaments during this time. I do remember all the big pros used to come out, and we've been talking about this, like how do we return LA poker back to its glory, right? Because many people considered LAPC probably number 2 behind, the World Series in terms of events back then. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just money, right? If we make the tournaments big enough, they'll come.
Yep.
At this
They'll
event,
come.
1 million guarantee, we got to 1.7, 1.71 million or something. It was insane. And you know what?
Yeah.
We saw a lot of the kind of mid-level Vegas pros coming down, didn't we? I saw a bunch of people. There were quite a few that made their way down. In fact, I'd say one of them final tabled and took a lot of the money from us. But we'll get to that in a minute.
And actually, I never actually said this to anybody before, and I'm just remembering it right now. Right at the beginning of COVID, when we had the first LAPC after COVID and the main event, Phil Hellmuth tweeted out, "I'm on my way," like how he talks about it on social media. It's like, I'm going to take my private plane, over to play the LAPC main event. And then he quietly deleted the tweet and didn't show up a day later.
Huh.
And the reason why is because I think he realized, like, between the time he tweeted and that time, that the WPT wasn't sponsoring it, and that's why he didn't come. So I think it really does matter that those big, operator sponsorships and obviously the bigger guarantees. But yeah, it seems like forever ago since those guys were coming out for the LAPC.
Yeah. And but we'll see if we can get that happening again. And I'm seeing the chat. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the high fives, and thanks for all the support over the weekend. Really appreciate it. We will get to that. We'll be talking about the my run in just a minute. We only have a couple results to go over, and then we'll talk about how our weekends were. So let's start with the daily that happened on the 19th. So the daily that happened on the 19th, I think this is the only result we have other than the main event, in fact. So congratulations to Troy Gabaldon from Corona here. He was the winner of this event and he took home 16,000. So this must have been
Nice. Wow.
yeah, the $400. So this was one of those 50K guarantees. So well done. Also, congratulations on this list. Some familiar names here. I'm particularly seeing Mr. Vanek Azizian. I know last year I think he won 2 Remingtons like back to back. So Vanek is definitely a master of these single days here. Congratulations. Second place, Richard Corpus. Third place, David Niedringhaus. Armin I screwed his name up. Shafekshian. I can't say his name, but I know him well. He's a good player.
They're giving you a tough list.
I know they always do. Like
this time.
William Faberbach.
Hey, do you know who William Faberbach is? He is the voice of Patrick Star.
Oh, he is. All right. Well, geez, why didn't you say so? Congratulations to Patrick, aka William, 6th place there, and then 7th Nisar. Then Didier, and then another William Hurlbut, and oh, look at who's in 10th place of this event. Our very own Derek Kwan.
Yeah. Hooray.
Hey, 10th place. Get you some points on that player of the series.
It was we'll talk about it when I'm talking about my days, but that was a pretty rough final 12 there.
All right. So, another deep run for Derek, and I tell you what, man, it is a really hard thing to win a tournament, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
so
I basically had final table twice and then just missed another final table in like a month, and I'm nowhere near a freaking trophy, right? It's
right.
Nuts.
Yeah, and I've been trying my hardest too, just to get that second one to hold to laud over you, and it's been tough. I got a little closer, but this is the best I could do. It was 6th place. So let's go over the final table of the million, right? So congratulations to Juan Hernandez. He came in as the chip leader of day 3. He did not come in as the chip leader of the final table, but of day 3 he came in the chip leader and he took it all down. So this fellow will bring up his actual winner photo soon. Congrats there. Also at this final table, myself, I came into the final table as like a middling lower stack, kind of not bottom, not whatever. I got 6th place, so I was able to ladder a few times. I would say I had below average luck at the final table. No excuse, but definitely wasn't running great. Also here, David Marshall. David he was the first one out on day 3, which gave him 7th place. So congrats to David Marshall. Ali Shani, he was, I believe, the short stack pretty much always. He would briefly not be the short stack, and then he was just the short stack again, but he was really good and ran just at the right times, ran good. He made his way to 4th place. Name we read a lot, Mr. Thuy Win, Tony here. He was the first one off the final table. I actually knocked him out. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but congratulations to Tony, final tabling this guy. And then Shiki Zong, he goes by Husky, actually. I talked with him quite a bit. I've been playing a lot with this kid the last, basically LAPC. I've been sitting with him a lot in our day ones. Really cool kid, really nice guy, and really happy for him. He managed 3rd place in this thing. Another name.
I've just seen him at your final table, but I don't remember seeing him around. So it's so interesting
I played with him quite a bit. And it looks like he's really only started playing at least, Hendon tournaments in the last year.
This keeps happening a lot where these people just aren't playing, and all of a sudden they just show up and start final tabling. So
I know, right? Good for them, right? So, and then another name we see quite a bit here, little Michael Yang. I really wish I had remembered to bring him a patch. He asked us for one when I put up the story about having him. We could have another guy here with a patch on him.
And I think somebody mentioned that he had taken like 3rd place in the same event last year.
I was
going to
bring that up. Way to spoil it.
Yeah.
Jeez, I was just looking at Mike's Hendon, and I saw in this very event he got 3rd last year. This year he could not improve, unfortunately. He got 5th. Congratulations.
But what a beast, man. This guy is such a good player.
And here we have Kyle Floyd. Kyle was the second one off, so he was 8th place. So congratulations to Kyle Floyd. And then Mr. David Baker, Bakes on Twitter, he got 2nd place. So he was kind of a mid-stack the whole way through until they got, once they got down to like 4-handed, the chip lead was moving a lot. So congratulations, David Baker, getting 2nd place for the 200 grand. First place
real
was
good player.
280. So
A real good player, has been around for a really long time, plays all the games. It was funny. I didn't even know he was in a tournament until I walked over to talk to Ty, and I was like, "Is that David Bigger?" But yes, it's it's good to see him. And also, I think he subscribed to us on
I
LA
think
Poker
so.
Roundup also.
I told him about it when I was sitting next to him.
Yeah,
I told him about it, and I said, "Hey, if you're gonna come play LA tournaments, you should check our show out." And he might have done it right at the table, to tell you the truth. So
yeah,
yeah, props for the support. And then here are the bust outs. Just wanted to show the winner photo so we get a nice shot of the winner. Sorry for the dizzying scrolling. Sorry guys. Here we go. So here's our nice winner photo. Looking much happier and lighter without the sunglasses. So congratulations one more time to Juan Hernandez. This was a monster event. I just can't really. It didn't quite hit 1.8 million like DJ said, but he was almost right on the nose, right? And it's just amazing.
he was. It was
We
like
had
1.75 or something, or
it was over 1.7, and man,
yeah,
that Sunday, 500 something entries
yeah,
on
it's
Sunday.
insane.
Holy
Yeah,
cow! This is I love it. I hope they run this event as the main event for every one of their series. Honestly, like the
yeah,
LA Poker Open, the California State, whatever. Like if they just run this exact same structure and this exact same setup, it would be amazing. It'd be
yeah.
amazing.
Land these things on a 3-day weekend like that again. A lot of people are around. A lot of people want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were before we roll back and just talk about our weekends and then my run a bit. To answer to someone in the chat, Caitlin, who was it? Scala, they did not chop. No chopping. I think they discussed it when they got three-handed, couldn't come to a deal, and they just kept playing. And let's see, other questions we'll get back to. We're going to talk about the WSOP stuff when we get to that. Okay, cool. So yeah, before we do that, let's just take a quick look at the last thing. There are no more results we have, but we did get from our field reporter, Frank Lynn out there, got us a sneak shot of the player of the year or player of the series standings right now. So let's take a look at that. We've got these results look like they're as of 2/21, so as of today, even, which means that Frank got 13th and something today. So here we have the player of the series standings. Sean is still leading the pack. Sean Yu with 256 points. Next, right behind him, 201 points. Actually, 50 points is a lot, I feel like. How many points do you get for winning an event, Derek? Do you remember, like 16? Or is it a lot?
I think it's like 40.
40? Okay, so maybe it's not that bad. So behind him, Jake Libeskind. Behind him, now this is right on his tail. 2 points behind him is our buddy, Adam Kipnis. And then
Yep.
rounding out the top here, we have Chad Tam, Rodolfo Olmos, a whole bunch of people locked up around this 130, 120 range. Frank's
Yeah.
in there
I mean,
still.
good jump up there,
Frank
Frank.
still
Yeah.
has himself a seat at the 400. And I'm guessing the points for that 13 he's holding are not on the board yet, so that's probably going to bump him up a little higher. He's got a long ways to go, unfortunately, to get that 10K seat, but it looks like you got that 400 seat pretty much locked down, buddy.
Yeah. Good job, Frank.
All right. So let's talk about our weekends. Let's talk about our weeks. So this event, for me, I got to go down. I went down on Friday, put down my 1200, and in it feels like a rare event for me. Just sailed right through, bagged exactly average, on the nose, 300K. And
Nice.
I just kicked back, put my feet up, and relaxed, and just put the schedule on my phone to keep texting Derek. Hey, did you get in yet? Hey, did you get in yet? So that was a nice.
It was needling me all day while I was running bad. It was fun.
I waited. I only needed them like twice a day. So yeah, my field. It's so interesting to see the difference in these fields. I remember when I made a point to go on later on the Thursday for the other tournament that I bagged in the series. Everyone felt a little more reggy, a little not tighter, but a little more aware and a little more cautious of their stack. And with this 1200, it felt a little bit more. In the beginning, it was wild. Still, in the beginning, it was wild, and there was definitely one or two wild people still around. But then, it was a much higher percentage of people who were more aware and more conscious of their stack. Now, those wild guys bagged the chip lead. The chip leader of the whole thing was in my flight. Did he keep that chip lead? But he was a crazy fellow, very unpredictable, massive overbets that were completely unpredictable. I saw one or two times I saw him called, it was like, okay, well, he's like so polarized. He's got the nuts, or he's got queen high. Let's go. But he bagged the chip lead that day. So I just the difference in the field was noticeable, but it wasn't. It wasn't insurmountable. We've said play these events before. It was just all of the, it was just all of the kind of good regs, right? And less of the completely random people that we don't recognize that are unpredictable, right? So that's the way I felt about my flight.
We got DJ in the chat, so I want to give a big shout out to DJ.
Oh wow, hey DJ, yeah, appreciate it. Hope we hope you enjoy the show tonight. We're just on the fun part where I get to brag.
You joined just in time.
Yep. So that's how my day one flight was. How were the day one flights that you went through, Derek?
Oh, they were awesome. They were awesome, Ty. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So I actually couldn't make it last week on Friday because I had like a little bit too much going on, and then on Saturday I only fired 2 bullets. I felt like I played kind of normal. Nothing terrible happened. I just didn't make it through. Well, I mean, I guess something terrible did happen is like just towards the end, we're about like 12 from the money. I had 250K actually at that point. And then somebody had 230K when the average was probably something like 180. And we just got to a huge flip free queens against ace king. So we were probably, the two of us top 5 in chips. And then, of course, I'm not going to win that. So I lost that. Got pretty short and ended up busting. So that was really unfortunate end of the day too. And on Sunday, I decided I was going to gamble it up a little bit and play a little bit aggressive. But I definitely crossed the line to spewy, where I definitely was playing a little bit too crazy. And I fired like 6 bullets on that day. It was pretty bad.
6 bullets. Wow.
Yeah, 6 bullets on Sunday. I want to say half the bullets were completely irresponsible, but generally, I think I read pretty bad like throughout the entire day. Ended up just busting and not making it, so it was a very, very frustrating day for me. And I realized that like I'm still gonna try to bin wing it up a little bit, take the gambles when I need to, but I just feel like that the game that really works for me is just playing like a good tight, solid, not like tight, but like a good solid in the hands that I'm in, play them super aggressively, but not playing too many hands. Try to follow a little bit GTO-ish like pre. That's always worked out really well for me. So I'm gonna continue to experiment. Maybe I should experiment on some of the lower buy-ins and not the bigger ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely getting the lab where the lab's a little cheaper, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Cheaper lab equipment, break a couple of the cheaper beakers,
Yeah, but then I came out on Monday and just played that one day, and ended up, finishing 10th. Had a pretty brutal couple of hands at the end there. One I lost with aces where somebody kind of called a big overbet on the turn with a flush draw or a combo draw and then hit it on the river. Lost a huge pot there, ended up busting in 10th. So that was really unfortunate.
It was super unfortunate because I feel like that really killed my mojo. I really felt like we were going to do a double trophy day. And
if I had finished first, I am certain that you would have finished first.
Yeah, because
so certain.
The motivation I would have felt if
there's
you
no
got
freaking
your trophy
way
that day, I was absolutely going to be unbustable the next day. It was going to be insane. I would have been like, screw ICM, I'm getting the trophy. That is the only thing that matters.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty brutal hand. It was such a long day too, and I felt like I was playing like really, really well, and then just that hand happened, and poker's poker.
Yeah, that's poker. For sure. So, so I jumped in there on day 2 on Monday, over the weekend, I just played some of the events we talked about last week for people who wouldn't be able to play the 1K. So actually I went down to the gardens, I played the daily, didn't go anywhere, and Sunday I went over to Hollywood Park and I fired into the 50K that they were running. They had a great turnout. I think their prize pool got up to around 90K. So, great on them. Once again, I need to remember to just go late. They give you 50K starting chips, and at the end of reg, you still have 50 big blinds. There's just really no reason for me to go there earlier because it's, for one, they start at 10, which is awesome. And I think this is a better way for people to run the tournaments. If you do it this way, I just can sleep in. It's fine. And people who want to play that deep and early, they can just show up and do it. And I can just, it's better for everybody, right? So did not do well there. I have not, the one place around here that I have not run well in tournaments is definitely Hollywood Park. So, but that's fine because we were all ready for Monday. Monday being President's Day, I, of course, did not have the day off. I don't know why. We get very few of these kind of bank holidays off. So, whatever. Took the day off. My table draw was fantastic. I thought my table draw was really good. I came in with exactly 300K. There's a very large stack to my right, maybe the fourth in chips. He had about 800 and something thousand. But he, between being card dead and just being kind of generally tight and conservative seeming, between those two things, he really played very few hands, and he really didn't get involved in any big pots. So the rest of the table, half the table were very short stacks, and then there were like two and a half people, 2.5 stacks that were like average like mine. And then
it's always interesting to see big stacks. You know, obviously you don't want to go crazy and just spew off all your chips, but when you have a big stack, especially on day two, it is your opportunity to put a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're super card dead, you probably shouldn't force the issue. So maybe that's what was happening.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're not comfortable playing that style, right?
Yeah,
but he
true,
was
true.
But he was very card dead. And also, you know, I don't know if he was thinking about this or not, but with our starting table distribution, we had two people with like under 50K starting stack, another person with under 100K, and then like the three of us with middling stacks, and then him. So like I think we had really 4 short stacks at the table, and when you have that many short stacks, it's kind of hard to bully, because as long as there's a short stack left in a hand, there's always someone who just doesn't care and might jam on you, you know? So it can definitely be tough.
Day twos are very, like, it's a lot of thinking, right? Because you always end up with like 2 people with 10 bigs, and they're about to, you know, jam at any minute, and you have other big stacks. You're trying to navigate all these different like complicated scenarios. That's what makes poker tournaments so much fun, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And so for me though, it was an interesting day. It was honestly, it's the kind of day that I really like. I felt like I ran very well against the kid who was to my direct left, and we had about the same stack during the day. At the beginning of the day, I more or less just kind of got lucky and held against him and took all his chips before the table broke. But other than that, it was really just I started the day with an average stack, and for the most part, until there were about 4 tables left, I just more or less safely, patiently, no big huge hands. I think I went all in maybe twice before we were down to 4 tables, you know, and I think I was only all in one of those times. Just staying at average stack, you know, just chip it up, chip up, chip up, chip up, you know, when
that's the way to play.
2 or 3 pots that are kind of medium sized, and just sit on it, you know. So that was amazing. I didn't have a lot of crazy hands. I didn't have a lot of crazy play. Really, all throughout day 2, I was able to just kind of play good position, play decent cards, play decent spots, and then when I did get into a big spot, like I flopped 2 pair blind versus under the gun against the kid. I flopped 2 pair on ace jack 9, 2 spades, or 2, you know, something. And then on the turn, so you bet I called. On the turn, another heart comes. So now it's like spade, spade, heart, heart, ace out there. And we get all in, and he's got ace king of hearts, so I'm fading everything. So, you know, I actually held, right? So
nice.
Spots like that, the couple times that happened, I just held. Like I had ace king, someone rejammed on me, you know, I got it in, and hey, we held. Like, what is going on? I'm holding. It's crazy, you know? And like I said, I only got into those spots not many times. And you know, so there weren't a lot of times I had to hold, but I did. So that was really helpful to get through. And, you know, once I moved tables, the field started getting pretty solid, I felt like. There was like a real 50-50 split between all the kind of the really the good regs, the just the super regs, and then like seeing some of those LA guys or Vegas guys. One funny story was I'm sitting there and we hear clock getting called at the other table a bunch of times, and then the table breaks, someone comes over and they're like, "Hey, that's Jordan Christos. They keep calling clock on him. They keep calling clock on that guy." And then someone else is like,
"Oh, were they really?"
Yeah. And someone else is like, "Oh, he's tanking like Jordan." I'm like, no, that's really him. It's him. Look, I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I've heard that name. So yeah, apparently he was over there and he was literally doing his thing, tanking every hand, and they were getting pretty upset.
That's so funny.
Yep.
You know, I played with him a lot before. Like back in the, you know, the glory LAPC days and glory, you know, Legends of Poker days. Yep. But then I played with him at the World Series actually this year and or last year, and he was fine. It's interesting that he does. I don't know when he picks to tank like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't get real close and try to figure out what his stack was or anything. You know, at that point there were pay jumps every 3 spots. I don't know if that mattered to him, you know. He actually ended up in 28th. So
yeah, I mean, he's still a really, really good player.
Yeah, ironically, he busted on a direct pay jump bubble, so I guess his tanking didn't quite get him through that one. But yeah, that was kind of funny, and that's just kind of, you know, it's kind of the the thing. I sat actually once my table broke. I sat a good portion of the day next to David Uvidov. You know, one of
Yeah.
the young super
Yeah.
regs traveling pros, whatnot. So that was fun hanging out with him. And then I also sat right next to him to my left. So David was to my left, and to his left was Aaron Kim. Seems like another really good. I hadn't played with him much, but he's pretty good friends with Aaron and all those guys, or with David and all those guys. And Aaron actually almost final tabled the thing. He got down to 11th. And I just want to
Hmm.
make a note to when we talk about kind of JBecks versus Landon later. Remind me to talk about what I was seeing when I was playing with Aaron for a while.
Hmm. I don't really know Aaron Kim. I mean, I
Yeah,
probably know his face, but yeah.
yeah, I didn't really know him either, but like he seemed to be really good friends with David. So that kind of just made me feel like he must just he must play a lot. He must be in with those guys. So yeah,
Hmm.
that was great. So we made the final table, and that final table, if you recall, it was pretty good. I mean, this was a pretty solid final table by LA standards for sure. I mean, we had Baker, we had Mike, we have we had Tony, and we got I was on there, and we had the other guys were kind of lesser known, but they were playing fine, for the most part. So like over half the table seemed like somewhat competent, knowing what we're doing, which was it was a tougher final table than honestly I'm used to in LA.
Yeah.
um,
I think I mean, most fields, usually when you get whittled down to final 36, final 27, that's when you're going to see a little bit more of a concentration of good players. In a 1K buy-in, that's almost going to be a certainty, right?
yeah,
So like a 50-50 split sounds about right, where you're going to have like very, very good pros. And then even the 50 that are remaining, if they're not pros, they're all going to be pretty decent to have gotten there, right? Maybe only a couple of people are just there because they're super lucky. But yeah.
yeah. And if you remember, it's funny. Late in my day one, I was kind of texting you, and I kind of complained like, "Dang it, man! I'm almost through, but I'm sitting at the table with freaking this bracelet
Yeah.
winner and Mike Lang, and they're like 4 and 5 bet
Yeah.
folding to each other, and I'm like, why did I just want to I just want to bag? What's going on?" So I had to deal with
Right.
him at the final table too, and
Yeah.
so
We got a question in chat from Caitlin. I have an actual question. Is there sort of EV, some other term not aware of, motivation for
mm,
firing multiple bullets? Um, I don't know there's an exact calculation, right? But you should treat basically each bullet as it's like a buy. It's like an entry, right? It has
yeah,
nothing to do with your previous entries, and you should be playing it that way. So that's how you should be kind of looking at it. Obviously, from an overall ROI perspective, if you just keep firing bullets over bullets, you're not going to be a profitable player. Like I made a joke on Twitter that I had a second, a ninth, and a tenth in these big field MTTs, and I'm down money right now in 2024 because I fired freaking 8 bullets, right, at this $1,200 tournament. So, but like, I would probably just think about your edge, right? Do you have an edge on the field that you should just keep entering as much as you can, and also think about your tilt, right? Like I was definitely tilting. I mean, I was playing a little bit like crazy, but also tilting towards the middle of it. I tightened it up for my last blow. I just didn't make it through. But you also have to be aware about kind of like your psychological makeup, I guess, at that point too, to make sure you're not just completely punting. But there isn't maybe an exact science to buy-ins, but just buy in things that are comfortable with your bankroll, and then be willing to rebuy a lot if you have an edge over that field.
yep. No, I
What do you think, Ty?
completely agree. Yep, it's the first time I saw someone describe it in like those exact terms. I think it was like a Jonathan Little tweet or something, but
Hmm. Okay.
100% agree. Every buy-in, you just evaluate it as to, well, if I just showed up right now, would I play? Do I think it's profitable? Right. So
Yep.
like if
Yep.
you're, I always buy in early, and I don't really I feel like I'm wasting my money buying in with 20 bigs. If you bust and it's late in reg, don't buy in. You feel like you're gonna waste your money,
Right.
right? But if you're really good at 20 bigs, yeah, fire away. Just keep
Yeah.
firing, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
same thing. And if you, like you said, if you're tilted, have some self awareness. If you're tilted, if you're spewy, take a walk. Maybe come back later and see if you
Yeah.
want to play then. But definitely, it's all about whether or not you think this individual bullet, this individual tournament
Yeah.
is profitable. That's really all there is to it.
And there are a couple of scenarios like bounty tournaments where you don't want to buy in late in general, and definitely don't want to rebuy late in general
Sure,
because so
sure.
much of the prize pool has been taken out in bounties already, stuff like that. But mostly, just take it from a case by case basis and your edge and your bankroll.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And the more you play and the more your bankroll can afford it, the easier or the less likely I think you are to like tilt, right? And by
Yeah.
that it's like if every bullet is a decent amount of is like if you're slightly taking a shot already and you bust and then you do another one, like every bullet you fire is going to start stressing you out and tilting you, right? So
Right.
like you're not going to be able to fire a lot of bullets and play well in that situation. So, just
Yeah.
that's kind of thing.
Yep.
Jesse in there saying his max late red strategy. He's always about
He
buying
does.
in very last
I always
second.
see him wandering around a little bit, and all of a sudden, bam, he's at my table.
Yep. So that's definitely a strategy. And like I said, I take that strategy. I'm going to take it at all the Hollywood Park big events from now on because you still get 40, 50 bigs. I'm just going to show up at the last second because I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Yep. So then got to that final table. And then we found out that we hadn't read the structure sheet right. They said that we would only play 12 hours and then we
I
had
was
to stop.
shocked.
And there
I
was
was
no
shocked.
negotiating. Absolutely no negotiating.
Oh, I was like, if they want to keep playing, can they play? And they were
Yeah.
like, no. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we were still going. Like our final table, we were still like 15
exactly.
people.
Even after an hour-long bubble that Derek's tournament had, they still had 3 tables left from when they made a stop. And I hope DJ's still in the chat. We were saying like, wow, I really think DJ would have let us play another hour. This sucks because everyone at the table was saying like, can we at least play until the other event's done? Because like you
Right.
have to
The
stay
staff was here.
anyways. You know,
staff was
like
here.
if we all agree, is it cool? Can we just keep playing? Like, can we play at least another
was
to
a-
the end of the level? There's 25 minutes left in the level. Can we play a little longer?
Silly decision.
No,
Yeah.
no, they wouldn't do any of that. And it's like, why? It takes one dealer. You just need literally. There's like
Right.
just to let's play the end of the level. You need one dealer here. They don't even
Right.
need a break because it's a 25 more minutes. I was, and honestly, that almost tilted me. On the very last hand, I feel like Mike did me a solid. I was in the big blind for our very last hand. He opened because he was still the big stack at the time. I defended Jack 9. I don't remember if it suited or not, but I defended Jack 9. I was the short stack because I had just bluffed into someone's rivered flush. So now I was the short stack with like maybe 1.8 million or something. So I defended. I flopped top pair with my Jack 9. I jammed. And he called with a gut shot and 1 over, 10-7. And I feel like I don't know for sure. Like, obviously, he had a ton of chips. It didn't hurt him. He had like 14 million at the time. And I was jamming for like 1.4 or something. So it wasn't a huge deal, but still, like, he just had a gut shot and over. It's kind of a loose call. But if he hadn't done that, or everyone had just given me a walk, I would have had like what did I have coming in? I would have had like 8 big blinds or something, probably 9 big blinds to come back the next day.
Yeah.
And I had to take another day off because I didn't realize that. And obviously, good problem to have. But like if they just let us play another hour, then us short stacks would have more of an opportunity to either double or to get
Right.
out. Right. And without feeling pressured. So I was getting pretty steamed up at the end because I was a shorter stack and because I would have to take a whole day off, whether I got to come back and play one hand or not.
That's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think in a scenario that, I mean, like, especially with that sort of board texture, I'm pretty sure it was running in Mike's mind that you could have had like a worse straight draw, right? You could have had something like even a bottom pair, right, type hand that you did that with. So then you might actually have 2 overs in the gutter. So I'm pretty sure he took all that into account.
I'm sure. And also the fact that I was visibly steaming that I would have to come back the next day.
Exactly. So I don't think he was doing you a solid. I think he was trying to bust you.
No, I know he was trying to bust me, but like I feel like I think that also on top of it, it was just like, if nothing else, just the fact that he knew I didn't want to come back with a few chips, whether it's because he thinks I'm going to bluff because I don't want to come back with some chips or because he wants to just like help get it over with. But for sure, when I flopped top pair, I was actually glad that I was steaming a bit because now I could just jam and be like, right? But actually, and I didn't even, I had to sweat hard, man. The turn, he hit his 10 on the turn. He hit the overcard on the turn. I had to river 2 pair. So
funny.
that was probably the one hand I got lucky at the whole final table. Every other hand is just like lose some chips. I swear the only hands that I won at that final table, I hit one actual hand and the river they folded, and then every other hand that I actually won was a steal. But whatever. So we had to come back on day 2 for day 3, and honestly, I feel like that hurt me a lot. 1, it did make me start tilting a little bit at the end of day 2, and 2, I honestly didn't sleep that well. I don't know if it was excitement or just just having to travel and being all like amped up from the day or whatever, but I didn't sleep that well. I came back and I felt like I was in better shape before they told us that to play deep into the night and to I'd been playing all day. I was in a good poker zone, right? Then to come back and just start cold more or less and just get going, because like I woke up, I put in a couple hours on my computer doing a little work, drove in, tried to I just hadn't played any poker that day because it was it was 1 o'clock. Like I felt like I was not in as good a spot as I was the night before, and I don't know if that was the case for some of the other guys, but definitely didn't feel as good for me.
This is where a lot of the edge comes with poker pros. It's not that maybe they're inherently more skilled than you or something. It's just they have a lot of time, right? They don't have to worry about grinding in a couple of work hours right before they go in for day two. So yeah, like and also they have a tremendous number of hours to like study, right? So that is a lot of where their edge comes from.
Yeah. I'm super jealous of people who have more time to study, because I am a study kind of person and I just don't get that much time to do the kind of studying I actually would want to do.
I try to squeeze in something like 30, 45 minutes a day at least on GTO Wizard to grind through some scenarios, but it's tough, man. Tired.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and like when I'm tired, I don't even want to study because I feel like nothing will go in, so I bother.
It's sometimes it doesn't stick too. It's a problem.
I do have a day job. Derek and I both have day jobs. We work in tech.
Yep.
I don't know if he was ever anything before that, but I used to be a software developer. Now I'm a manager. So we've kind of ground our way up into the get to answer a lot of emails and phone calls ranks. But
that's right.
But we have a job. Yeah, Caitlin's asking where we'll do our meetup game one day. We should do a meetup game soon. She's saying, and I said, I don't know. It'd have to be like a tournament though, right? It'd have to be some sit and goes or something, or a bounty event or something. DJ had teased that at one of the series when he was there, he'd be willing to throw a roundup event. But now we're gonna have to find a new spot. We'll have to find out where DJ lands.
Yeah.
I saw he went down to Hamul for the Run Good series. Maybe he's talking to people. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure somebody as skilled as him is going to land something pretty
absolutely.
quickly.
He's got to find something new. He's got to find something that hopefully is a better spot too for everybody. I don't think it would be a cash game though, Caitlin. I don't think that we could, but it seems out of character. So just to wrap up my day three, my final table, I came in as the second shortest stack. I expected the shortest stacked. He was quite short. Expected him to get out or to have to win some all-ins early, but he actually the first open he jammed over, he won. The next time there was an open, he jammed over, he won, and before I knew it, he had basically the same chips as me. And then surprisingly enough, the fella who was probably there were 7 of us, so he's probably like fourth in chips. He was actually the one who busted, Mr. David Marshall. So he was playing. He played well for chips, but I think he was not quite being very conscious of the kind of ICM setup, and he got himself busted.
I played with him many times before. He's not very. I don't think he cares.
He's
but it's very date. He's definitely one of those players that's like, we'll just check raise you with top pair and then just go with it, right? It's very, very tough to play players like that. He's very, very aggressive, and I don't think I've actually made a final table with him. If I did, I don't remember it, but like I could imagine that he's not very ICM carry.
Yeah, so he was still playing that way, like he was trying to accumulate the biggest stack, which obviously you're trying to do, but he didn't seem to be
finish, buddy.
too conscious of the ICM setup, which if you hit, it works for you. You get all the chips. If you don't, you finish first off of the day. And then
that's right.
Yep. So then we played for another probably hour 10, hour 15 minutes before I busted the short stack. Got short again. Then he in his big blind. He was. This is what I'm saying. The night before, at the end of day 2, the short stack, and you can see this in the coverage. The short stack was down to 1.46 million or something, and he jams, and the kid to his left has aces, and he's got ace 7, and he makes a flush, so he lives. And then today, and then on day 3, when there were 6 of us left, he gets short again, down to like less than 2 million, and the same kid opens, guy jams, so he's got ace jack suited and way more chips than him. He calls. He's got the big blind. The short stack has aces. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
just the right times, getting the hands. And the kid actually, Husky flopped a flush draw and faded it. He flopped the flush draw. And Husky got so excited. He was like, "I'm gonna pay you back," and he didn't. He did not pay him back. He did not. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you can't beat a good running card sometimes.
yeah, yeah. So he managed to live till fourth. And I'll say one other thing. I think that so Husky, and Ali Shani and the fella who won, Juan Hernandez. I tried to find them on Hendon, and some of them I couldn't quite find, and some of them like I literally couldn't find Ali Shani. Maybe I typed it wrong, but it didn't seem like he had Hendon. Juan, there were many Juan Hernandez in Hendon. None of them had very high results in live, and same with Husky. He had looked like he just started playing tournament poker like late last year, and his biggest score was a 4K daily down at the Garden. So these guys were ecstatic when they were playing at the
I
end.
bet. I
When
bet.
yeah, when Husky had a couple friends rallying him, it was great. Juan had a lot of friends rallying him. When Juan won, he got up off the table, he put his hands on his head like he had just won the main event of the World Series. It
That's
felt,
cool.
yeah, it was real feel good. It was like, wow, this kid is like,
I still I still
this is
remember when I
such a
made my
peak.
first like big final table. I remember that excitement of the like 10K, 20K pay jumps, you know what I mean? It's good times.
Yeah. So, kudos to these guys. Way to go. Way to go to these guys. And I'm salty that you beat me, but congrats.
Yeah, you
Ah,
know what, people, you know what, chat, we're gonna get some merchandise sooner or later. It's just very expensive to put together, so we have to
yeah, we're going in
yeah,
steps.
have to,
We
yeah,
got some
baby
patches here. We're
steps,
looking
baby
at some other
steps.
things. Yeah, look, chat, help us out. Spread the word. Get us up to like 1,000 subscribers, and then we will get some merch. All right, that's how
Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
That's probably how it's gonna happen. Um, all right, so let's move on. Enough about that. It's cool to not have to try and call in someone to chat about the final table. We were there. Let's move on. We can't talk about that forever. We got new tournaments to talk about. So let's quick touch on the bike schedule. So Mo put out a tweet that they actually did something and changed it. So we quickly went over this schedule a different week. And the thing that has changed, and it's still far off, so we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. But the thing that has changed is down here, the Mega Millions. Before they had their day twos. So once again, the big change is there are 2 day twos to the Mega Millions, and they used to be on Saturday and Sunday. Well, now those day twos are on Sunday and Monday. So that is
Yeah,
the
that
change
was a bad
there.
change. No, that was a bad change.
Yeah, I think it's a bad change, but honestly, I'm not really looking forward to the Mega Millions. We'll talk about that when we go over the schedule more often, more in more depth. But yeah, that is their change. Probably not great for them, but we'll see. We will see. Other series, as we mentioned before, the Garden SoCAL series has put out their full series. It's a very, very short series, but it's the Gardens. That's their MO right now, short and sweet. So they have a lot of satellites into the main event, right, into that 1K, 500K guarantee, which, man, last time we got up to, I think, 800. If we don't get to 1 million this time, I'll be really disappointed.
Yeah.
But they have some other events. So the other events they have going is on Wednesday, 4/17. They're going to have a 50K guarantee. They'll hold them with a bounty. And then on the 4/18, Thursday, they're going to do a Monster Stack Turbo 30K guarantee. And then on the day 2 of the main event, they are going to have a 50K progressive bounty on that Sunday. So another chance to try and play a progressive bounty if you want on that Sunday, that's 4/21 if you don't day 2. And once again, yeah, this event has a very low guarantee, but the last time, I think this was the exact same setup, was it? Or did they have, yeah, I think this was the exact same setup, right? Was it Friday, Saturday? Or did they have a day one on Thursday as well for the New Year's one? Do you remember, Derek? Was it Thursday, Friday,
It
Saturday
was,
day ones?
I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I
Okay.
recall
It
there
was
being three
Thursday,
days,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday. But if I recall, day one was pretty small, less than 200 people probably, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we got pretty high. So all right, so I'll lower the expectation. With just the 2 day ones, I really hope we get to like 600K then. So
Yeah.
that would be good. That'd be nice. I think that's totally reasonable. So that is the schedule for the Garden SoCal special. They don't have many tournaments. Of course, it's all revolving around the 1100 and on that weekend, and that's because they're just trying to jam this thing in between the winning on the green and the next series at Commerce.
Yep.
All right. So those schedules. Now let's talk about the big boy. Everyone get excited. It's the World Series of Poker 2024 schedule. What do we got on here, Derek?
Yeah, so there's some exciting new events and some, cool changes. So one of the new events is the event number one. There's a 5K Champions reunion. And this is a freeze out, which is nice. But then basically what happens is there's going to be all the previous world champions in this tournament. And if you knock one of them out, you basically get a 10K like main event seat. So it's pretty nice. It's like a champions bounty tournament.
Right. So
that
whoever's
should be
around and in town, they will be playing in that thing. I hear they get free entry, for being a bounty. So
Yeah, I really like that World Series does seem to take care of their players, just like the WPT. They're able to add a bunch of stuff to their prize pool and stuff like that. Then obviously they have the regular 1K mystery millions, 1 million top bounty, and then 1 million guaranteed for first place. So that should bring out a ton of people. I mean, for a 1K, that's really really good and always exciting to watch people pull that $1 million bounty. I mean, can you imagine that you just walk up to that little thing, pull out the envelope, and it's $1 million in your pocket?
I can't.
I don't like playing mystery bounty still, but this is I don't think I could make it out for this one. But if I'm there for some reason around that time, I definitely would fire a few bullets at this.
Yeah, it's definitely become a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah. Then we got a $300 Gladiators tournament. I think we've had those before. It's a $3 million guarantee. So for people who like the lower buy-ins, that's going to be a really, really great one. $300 buy-in for a $3 million guarantee is always like tremendous, for the World Series, and also you can get a bracelet. So that's happening on June 6th. So that's another nice one. Now I think this is a new event where they're introducing on June 15th a $1,500 mixed no limit hold'em pot limit Omaha double board bomb pot.
Oh boy!
So for so people who like to gamble, I think this is going to be a good one.
I know a lot of people who are excited for that. But the thing that confuses me is why are they mixing No Limit Hold'em and PLO bomb pots? They're very different bomb pots, and they play at such different sizes.
Yeah, I think that probably they might just think that a pot limit Omaha may not get enough people, so maybe they just threw a no limit in there. I don't really know why they would do that,
I don't
but
know.
yeah.
Hopefully
maybe
it gets a good turnout though, and they do one of each next year.
Yeah.
3-day event. Yeah, I can tell you this because DJ did run a few double board bomb pot PLO tournaments at I forget which series, but he ran at least 2. It was a super duper fun event, but wow, I think we got 4 or 5 hands a level if we were lucky. So it's like 4 or 5 hands every half hour. So that's probably why it's a 3-day event. That and the propensity to split pots, of course.
I think I might have come really close to final tabling a bomb pot tournament. I don't remember.
I got
Anyways.
incredibly lucky. The first one he ran, I got like final tabled and like got 6th or 5th on one bullet. Now there weren't a lot of people in the tournament, but that was super fun. Probably skews my view of how fun it was.
I didn't actually care too much for the bomb pot format, but it was nice to go deep. And on July 3rd, there's an $800 Independence Day celebration. I think this is a new tournament, so that's obviously running during the main event. So I know many people can't play the 10K. So hopefully you're gonna get in there with the satellite. But if you don't, really nice tournament, $800 buy-in. Around that time should have a ton of people, and probably also scooping the people that bust out of the main. So that should be a really nice one. The changes that I like though is that the Monster Stack and the Milly Maker are now both 3 starting days instead of 2. Which is really nice. So now you're going to get like kind of 3 shots at it instead of just 2, which I always felt was like not enough. So
did
I
they
think
add
those
a
are going
day
to be.
before there were Friday Saturday day ones, or what were they? Let me take a look here. Millionaire Maker. All right.
I believe that they were Friday. Yeah, I remember going out there like on a Thursday or something, and then playing on a Friday, playing on a Saturday, and then a day 2 would be Sunday. So now I think they're making day 2 Sundays or day 1 Sundays for both of them, and then the day 2 starts on Monday.
Yep, I see that now. Okay, I was interested in playing the what do you call it, the Monster Stack or the Colossal Stack, whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking had that one on mine this year, but okay.
The Monster Stack is my favorite tournament of that year of the World Series, other than the main. That's the one I always go out for 100%. Right. Usually I just target those 2 tournaments, it's the Monster Stack and the main.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll just squeeze out there for another weekend if I have some free time.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to dedicate more vacation time to this guy than I was expecting, but good. With 3 starting days, I'm almost curious why bother having this one called the Millionaire Maker, because, I mean, the Monster Stack had $1 million first prize last year, didn't it?
Yeah, always.
So, I mean, it's going to have way more with 3 starting flights. Like, what's special about the Millionaire Maker?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just like a historical name they're just sticking with or something, but yeah.
Another
And
low,
then
cheap one. I don't know if this is on your list. This Poker News Deep Stack Championship. That seems nice for the lower buy-in, $600 4-day event.
oh yeah, I think I saw that Poker News was sponsoring something.
Yeah, so that's a pretty nice price point right there. $600 event here, so that's nice shot at it.
Yeah, I mean World Series has a lot of affordable events even for like mixed game players, by the way. So if you want to play a couple of mixed games in big fields, yeah, the World Series is a really good time to experiment with some of those. I think I saw a $1,500 League Badoogie, so a lot of really good tournaments.
Oh yeah, yep. And then one thing that I noticed is if you check the fine print here, the satellites that they are running, right here. Yep. So all they're running satellites, daily landmark mega satellites and specialty satellites. They're all now landmark satellites, which means that's their word for milestone. So you should be familiar with milestone, the milestone portion of it. That the casinos around here have been running those satellites, the Gardens and the Commerce. So when you hit a certain amount of chips in your stack, you get your seat and you're done. You don't have to play to the end. I believe the way that these ones are going to run is, aside from that, when they get down to the very end, it's just regular. So you can still hit the milestone or this landmark at any time, but when it gets down to the final number of people who will win seats, you will win seats.
Yeah, I really like those that satellite format. It's a really fun one to do. And it just it just coerces the right type of behavior, right, to get people to play a little bit more aggressively to get their stack taken out.
Yep, absolutely. Anything that
Um,
encourages play for sure.
Yeah, so Caitlin mentions that you get a certain amount of points for the daily D stacks that will get you a free entry into the Poker News event. So it looks like they are
Oh,
doing a point system, which is nice too. So yeah, if you're a daily player and you're out there for the World Series, yeah, make sure that you're accumulating those points to play that Poker News event.
yeah,
That
that's
Poker News event
great.
will be a big one. Yeah.
That's great. Jesse loves the milestone bounties over at the Gardens. I did too. The one that I played to the bitter end. Some people would hate it, but I absolutely loved it. It was great.
Yeah, that sounded so much fun. I didn't play it, but when you told me about it, I was like, wow, that sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I want because some people you can get pissed off that, oh man, I had more chips than him. He got a small bounty. He got lucky and pulled the thing. Whatever. People get lucky. You get lucky in tournaments, but it was just fun to have to play to the end. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So talking about World Series, I have another. Oh wait, there it is. I had another thing come up here. So Kevin Mathers here talking about people have been asking. They announced the series, but they didn't announce the Tournament of Champions on there, right? And he says that they will announce the details for that on March 15th. And this guy down here, Peter, asks, well, where's your best guess on where it will take place? Well, that's interesting, isn't? Because I thought it would just take place in Vegas at
Yeah.
like Bally's and Horton.
Sorry.
Isn't that where it took place last year? So why are
Yeah.
people talking
Yeah.
about this? Huh? I
Very
wonder.
strange.
So what would be awesome? I've heard rumors since last year that Commerce is trying to get circuit events back. That they're trying to get some sort of circuit over here that there's a chance we could get, because every place else in LA seems like they are no longer doing circuit events. So wouldn't it be cool? Rumor alert, wouldn't it be cool if somehow we get circuit events at Commerce and they somehow get the tournament? Because listen to this. We have Bally's Big Bet live stream table.
Hmm.
We could do a circuit event. We could do a Tournament of Champions and they could live stream it. They could live stream the final table. They could do that. That's all here. That's going to be open. I heard from, I played with Phil Locke on my day one. He was talking about the room downstairs. He believes he was I believe he was sort of unofficially invited to play in kind of the opening events of that in what he said would be March. So it would be ready. So wouldn't that be awesome? If we had some kind of high profile circuit come back to town at the Commerce, had the Tournament of Champions, streamed all the big final tables, man, that would be a huge step towards making LA
Whichever
relevant again, right?
whichever card room decides to run a circuit event, that is gonna explode. There's
Circuit
so
events are
many people
monster.
that, yeah, especially in LA, I feel like that's the thing that's really gonna trigger it. But you have to, keep the momentum up after something like that. I would love the Tournament of Champions to be here, but it makes zero
It
sense
doesn't
because
make any sense.
we had no circuit events. Nobody here
Yeah.
has, like rings because you can't get them. You
Yep.
can't play online. It would just make no sense to make everyone else come to LA to come play it. But
Hey,
yeah,
the
if it's
NorCal
here,
people
great.
can get rings. Up at Thunder Valley, they can get rings.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
But
true.
we
Yeah.
just can't down here in SoCal. But
Right.
that's why you'd
Right.
have to bring with it a really big circuit series? What if they had like an LAPC size circuit event?
Well, as long as you can feed it in, from that circuit series, sure,
Yeah.
right? Like, whatever, like 8 people
Yeah, I don't know how many rings
can
you're
get
allowed to
in.
give out per series, but apparently it's
Yeah.
limited because that's why they were taking the ladies events off of some schedules. There was like a fixed number of rings they
Yeah,
could
that
give
was
out.
lame. I saw that. That was
Yeah.
lame, man. Don't do that.
It's
Just give
super
the
lame
ladies a
because they
ring.
give out unlimited bracelets. Why are you fixing the number of rings? I mean, I got 10
Right,
fingers. I only got two
right.
wrists. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Caitlin asks, is WPT leaving Gardens? I asked the same thing several times in the last year. I think probably what you're alluding to is what I noticed when I went down for the daily. On the back wall, they used to have all of the WPT kind of signage. They used to have the trophy there right by Reg. All of that's gone. So if you haven't been to the
Mm,
gardens lately, they don't have
yeah,
any gardens, any WPT branding around anymore. To me, that kind of points to there is no deal in place,
yeah.
which
It's not a
means
good signal.
probably not coming back. Now, I didn't get any straight answers, but I am pretty sure, still a rumor, but I would say probably 80, 75% sure that I don't think there's going to be a WPT at the Gardens this year. So really, LA is just being left out of all the major series. It's crazy. Like, how can they avoid
Yeah, we
us?
we got. I don't. I mean, I just think we're not forking up the money to bring them over here. I
Yeah.
know it's very expensive, and we talked about the cost of doing business in California is quite high, but like
Yeah.
it is just asinine, right? To leave such a huge market with such huge expendable income, the amount of people that we have here to play poker, it's just so underinvested
I
and
mean,
silly.
I feel like it's terrible on both sides. Like, from the WPT side, like, say, for instance, like, it
Yeah, like they,
cannot
they,
be
they should
good for
be,
them to have no other huge cities, huge
yeah,
events running in America, right? Like,
right. Like
if
LA's, yeah. Give us a
it's like,
discount.
yeah, it's greediness for their sake. It's like lack of cooperation on our sake. Like, even if they came in and they probably don't have the people or the whatever you want to call it, the logistical support for this. But if they were to come in and rent a convention center room themselves and just run themselves, you can't
Yeah,
because of card rules, right? But like if they did something like that, like that would be better. Like there's no way that having a huge WPT in LA wouldn't be amazing for the brand, right?
right.
So I don't
And
know.
you know what? If one of these smaller casinos, if as long as you have the floor space, why don't you just take a huge hit and bring one of those here and see what happens, right? And just impress all the players that come to your casino, make it so that they understand how awesome your casino is, and all of a sudden, right? Maybe you put your footprint there, as one of the top places to play in LA.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. Fingers crossed. We'll see. But whatever. Figure it out. So, other interesting Twitter wars that were happening kind of this week, and it didn't start as a war, but it kind of did. I watched his podcast. He fessed up. He did this on purpose. Daniel Negreanu put out before. He always runs the World Series fantasy draft, right? He also put out this tweet saying, "Hey, else I used to do that was fun." We had these matchups we would do, and you could kind of make side bets on them as well. And he's going to do like a free roll, right? And he put out all these matchups. A lot of the top ones had to do with some Twitter beefs that were going on. Jonathan Little versus Berkey, and then the second one here, JBecks versus Landon Tice. Mr. Becker, the king of the dailies, versus Landon, the child of the sim, as they like to call him, right? So this is kind of man versus machine here. And don't you know, in like 5 or 6 minutes, Landon messaged him or posted out, "Hey, let's do it. Let's make a bet." So they have a bet going on this summer where Landon and Mr. Becker are going to be cross-booked. Basically, Daniel Negreanu is going to cross-book their action
Okay.
with Berkey. So
Yep.
they're each taking a side. They're gonna do tallies at the end of the summer, and whoever wins more is going to get paid. So the public likes Jeremy Becker. The public is taking JBecks over Landon, and it's not hard to see why. If you had been on Twitter and Poker Twitter in the last year, all you ever see is Jeremy win dailies nonstop. And you've even seen him cash in the Poker Go studio. He made some decent runs at some of the bigger win events. So
Yeah.
he's got a
He
lot of
he
live
won. He's
results.
probably won. He's probably won 3 or 4 dailies in the last month, right? It's just he's
Month
not
that's slow
stopping.
for him. It should be weak.
Right.
But yeah, he is a lot of live results, and Landon does not put in that kind of volume. He does not put in that kind of live volume, and his results, he does not have the same results. So I totally see where people are with this, with this bet. So it's
It's
intriguing.
interesting. It's interesting. So I think, obviously Berkey, with Landon on staff, right, and also one of the coaches, I'm pretty sure he's going to stick up for him. But it's like guys like actually like Sean Deeb came in and they like went for Landon. I think Chris Brewer did. So a lot of really good players went and took Landon's side of it, which is really interesting. I think that's the fun part. Is just watching what the really good poker players, like how they evaluate other players and what they see, because they're obviously valuing Landon's kind of GTO knowledge and the way that he studies. Because Bex, I think, like Becker, is self-admittedly somebody who's just a field player, right? He's an incredible field player based on his results, right? He's not a flash in the pan to keep up results for this long. But it is interesting in like these big field World Series events, no limit tournament events where people are playing kind of crazy. It's like, yeah, you're playing a $1,500 buy-in, 3K buy-in, but these players are playing as if they were playing a freaking daily, you know? So is Bex, is he the better bet in these fields? And it's so interesting to see what will happen. I don't even think whatever happens, the variance is so high in the World Series that I don't think you can really get anything from it. But it's just a fun thing to watch. And I'm so fascinated by watching which players these top pros are picking.
Yeah, no, you learn a lot about their approach to the game, and in our
Yeah.
chat right now, it's pretty split. We got Caitlin going for Jeremy, we got Scala going for Landon. I think they're going to try and contact each other for a little side action. Honestly, I totally agree with you. 25 events is not enough to say anything, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I just look back at my history, look at 25 events, you could, depending on where you slide it, you're either like down
Right.
20 grand
The
or up
best player,
100
the
grand.
best
It's
player or
just
the
so
worst
easy.
player,
It's
right?
like, it's just nothing. But
Yeah.
it's super fun to look at. It's super fun to talk about. I honestly, I voted for Becker just because of the live reps. It might take, like, say Landon doesn't practice and prepare and get in the field enough. It might take him 25 tournaments to get used to these players. And I think
Yeah.
that's worth a lot. I do. I think that's worth a ton. I
I
personally,
also
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I also think they're going to be very different with early game and late game, where Bex is going to be much more comfortable with the insanity of the way that people play in early game. Because just like we talked about, as you get later, it's going to be much more pro heavy, and I think Landon might do better against the pros than Bex will. But it's just still interesting to see how that goes. Because I mean, when you see people do crazy stuff like we see, right? You raise 2x, somebody 3 bets 5x, and then they jam 70x.
Yeah.
Like against those type of players, I feel like the guys that are a little bit too GTO, a little bit don't play enough live, they don't really know how to respond to them. They don't really understand their ranges like good enough. But I think Becker will get those a lot better.
Yeah. No, he's definitely going to have more experience there. And there's just, there's no replacing live experience for just knowing some of that situation or being able to predict it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a point. A lot of the Berkey and this podcast, Negreanu and them, they kind of pointed it out. Like Jeremy definitely, I think, could be and will be better at navigating these early fields. But where all the money is made is when you make it later and being
That's
able to
true.
make those adjustments. And
That's true.
kind of to come back to somebody's question to me earlier, Kyle was asking, oh, how do you go so deep in right? Well, first off, I don't go deep in every tournament. That's extremely false. It takes many. I was, but when you do go deep, right, it's all about making the most of it. And I think one of the things that make tournaments so tricky and so much fun, and I think one of the things that gets you the farthest, right, is that you need to be, as Derek mentioned before, you need to be constantly adjusting to the situation, right?
Hmm.
And the situation is, there's so many situations, just without even getting into something specific, just the generic situations are buy-in is still open. There's this many big blinds. Your table's short. It's the beginning of the tournament. Your table's completely full, and there's a lot of big stacks. Your table's full, but they started a brand new table after Reg. Now
Yeah.
buy-in's over. The stack sizes are very different, this or that. The payouts are like this. We're near the bubble. We're not near the bubble. The big stacks on your right, the big stacks on your left. Half my table is a tiny stack. Half my table is are massive stacks. I'm the short stack, right? Now we're in the money. There's payout jumps. Do we play a little slower? Like, do we play really fast? Do we encourage people to do this or that? Do I want to start? What is the payout what is the overall payout, right? Do I want to be gambling more to get the big stack because pay jumps are meaningless, nothing matters but getting final table? Do I want to be more careful? Do pay jumps matter? Do I want to make sure I'm careful with my stack? Do these people think they need to be careful with their stack, right? Everything you have to be able to adjust at every phase of the tournament. And if you're not really good at doing that, you're kind of just relying on luck. So
Yeah, there's big differences in strategy from early game, mid game, and late game. So,
mhm.
like obviously, as Ty mentioned, in early game, everyone is 100 to 200 BBs deep. You don't really have a lot of short stacks, and you're all just sort of passing chips around a little bit. And as you get shorter and shorter in the middle stages, especially near the money bubbles, right, you really have to understand how to play those situations when you can apply pressure, when you need to back down, when you need to start following ICM a little bit versus, like putting pressure on people. I told Ty this. We were two from the money in the one day. One of the clocks was actually wrong. Like I hate that Commerce does this. Like one of the clocks is the right kind of players. The other clock was the same clock, but it was like 20 people off, right? It
Oh,
looked like
wow.
it was 20 more people in a tournament than not. So this guy block bets the river against me, and I put them all in because I was like, we're two off the money, and I'm going to put all the pressure on this guy. He was looking at the wrong clock, and he thought we were 20 off the money. So I was not putting ICM pressure on this guy because he had no idea that we were on the bubble. You know what I mean? Luckily he just folded, and I was like, oh my gosh. And afterwards, I was like, oh my God, you didn't even know that you're on the money bubble. But in any case, like the point is that, honestly, and people may not love to hear this, but if you're moderately taking no limit hold'em poker tournaments like seriously, you really have to put in the time to learn. Like you have to learn. It doesn't necessarily have to be GTO, but it's just understanding the type of, end game versus mid game versus early game scenarios, how you sort of play, how you play strategically, how you think about, like your aggression and things like that, and, especially around the money. But then just learning good like pre-flop tendencies and what stacks or what hands you should be playing from what stack sizes from what positions, how you should be responding to three bets and all that kind of stuff. There's just so much work that goes into it, but like that's generally the answer to how do you run deep in tournaments is that you just put in the work.
Yeah, and then you have to run good, of course. So that's where volume
Yes.
comes in, though, because if you put in the
Yes.
work and you put in the volume, you'll get lucky one of those times, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't put in the work and you put in the volume, it doesn't matter if you get lucky because the biggest stack going into day 2 here, he had almost 1 million chips. He was out in like 50th, 60th. So
Yeah, that's
what
why
are you
it's
gonna do?
very impressive when I say that people who come in as the top three chip stack, right, who make it all the way to the final table and get something like a top five finish, that's extremely impressive. It's really hard to do.
Mhm.
Going in as a big stack in day two, sometime or day three, whatever it is, doesn't always mean like you're gonna make it all the way through.
Yeah. So we will, so we'll definitely keep our eye on this side bet just for the science of it. But it also kind of got us thinking. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Jeremy Hamey put out a tweet asking, who else would you buy in LA if they were selling on? Yeah, I think he was kind of shilling for, I don't know why, but he seemed like he was shilling for Josh or Arie's site, right? It's at pokerstake.com.
Yeah.
And we had been kind of joking, like when we were on the show, like, oh man, Kathy, like cashed her like top three, like 2 mixed events in a row, which could have bought some of her, right? And she actually was on
She
there.
literally final
Yeah,
table like every
she was
single
on
one. It
there,
was
and
crazy.
we could have bought her. So got us thinking,
Yeah.
who else would you buy if you could? Who else in the local LA scene would you buy if you could? Now, this is just speculative. I don't buy pieces of anybody, so don't be offended if we talk about you. I still won't buy any of you. I just don't buy anybody. But who would you buy, right? Let's hear it in the chat. And who would you buy, Derek? If you had to go out there on PokerStake.com and everybody you played with was on there, who would you buy some pieces of?
Definitely my buddy Sammy, who we had on the show.
Yeah, absolutely have to
It's
buy
just
Sammy.
because I absolutely know his game and he is a fearless player. Very just it's interesting. He really balances that aggression and that fearlessness with just good poker play,
Yep.
and he just seems to have like a real nose for like deep run, right? So sometimes he'll just kind of bust out of tournaments and just disappear a little bit early. But if this guy goes in a deep run, he's gonna go in a deep run. So he's definitely like the type of guy that you want to bet on. What about you?
I think, this isn't someone I really even know, but just from doing the show and watching the coverage in all the 1Ks lately, I think one of the people I would want to buy, at least for No Limit, is Jared Griner. I don't
Yep.
know anything about him except for like the first three 1Ks that ran after we started this show. you seem like you final tabled every one of them. I mean, and he was
I
making
have
deep day
a
two runs on everything else I see.
I have a lot of volume against him, and I would also say, like, between Tim and Sohail, who are the two people we talked about quite a bit before, those two guys have very similar styles of play, and like we said, they just don't play a lot of tournaments. When they show up for the big ones, they go deep because they just understand, like what these fields and what you're supposed to do. They understand poker really well, their strategies, and they're very, very mistake free. They play extremely mistake free poker, and sometimes those are the people that are going to win. Is you're going to wait for other people to make mistakes.
um, yeah, I mean, they clearly get it at this player pool and buy-in level and whatnot. They clearly know how to navigate these fields. So I would absolutely, Sohail and Jared. After that, I think, I would want to buy some pieces of Fausto. I think those would
For
be
sure.
a little more volatile pieces, to be fair, because that man wants chips. I never seen anyone just be so hungry for chips as that guy. But man, he knows what he's doing. He's been coaching a lot of the people around town, and he's coached a
Yeah.
lot of successful players.
Very good
Not in
player.
LA, but
Even when he plays aggressive, like, you if you were kind of to look up that hand, and the way that he played it, I'm pretty sure it would be solve or approve, right? He's very, very good in that way. And you know what? Like, investing in poker players is a little bit like investing in startups, right? You're not trying to get every single startup in your portfolio to hit. You expect that 80% of them are just gonna fail, and then you need like the 20% to really go big, right? You need your unicorns.
yep.
So that's why, the bin wings of the world are kind of who you want to bet on, because it's like, he's just going to disappoint you 80% of the time, right? And maybe cash like 15-20%, but then when he does cash, he's going to go mega deep, right? So that's why you want like those. But it's interesting when you look at the Sammy and Faustos, where they're a little bit more in kind of the aggression
Hmm.
sort of end, and then Jared and Sohail, which are much more in like the robotic, mistake-free play type of end, and all four of them are extremely successful, poker tournament players. So there's no one single way that you need to play poker.
And I'll tell you from personal experience, the one time I did play him, Jared's plenty aggressive, so there's still
Yeah.
plenty of that in there.
Yeah, when I talk about them too, by the way, it's like, they're going to be, way more aggressive than
Then your
the
stand,
average player,
yeah, yeah,
but they play extremely just solid
yep.
mistake-free poker.
And then on the other end, there's some people who I don't know personally, but just from us covering these events, right? I said when we were going through, I would have, if someone made me buy a piece, I would have wanted to buy Kathy, just hitting all those
Yeah,
final tables. I would want to buy Sean Yu, see his name. He's player of the series. I mean,
yeah,
how can you not?
yeah. Sean, I mean, he plays all the games. Obviously a fantastic player in
Yep.
in all the formats. So yeah, another
Yep.
um stud,
Oh, and
in the LA
in
ecosystem.
stud. Oh, and of course, your buddy Adam. I didn't even
Of
know who he was
course.
before he started winning all these trophies and waving them in your face.
Yeah, yeah, Adam's a really, really good, mixed game player, right? So I think between, like maybe him and Shirley Rosario, right? Those are definitely two people that I want to bet on too, and
Oh
obviously
yeah,
like Frankie Odell. Although I don't know that much about mixed games, but yeah, in terms of mixed games, those guys are super consistent.
yeah. If they're in mixed games, you probably want a piece. Yep. So yeah, a lot of great people, a lot of great names. There's plenty more, of course, but like I said, I don't actually buy pieces of anyone. I need to save all that money for all the bullets I'm gonna fire. Usually Derek and I swap the numbers. I'm usually the one buying in 3 or 4 times a day. So it was kind of, I guess that was just to bring balance, right? Bring balance to the pot. If I get in on one bullet, you're gonna have to max fire.
Yeah, it's true. It just sometimes I'll just like spaz. It was like the Garden series where I fired eight, and then this one where I fired eight. Typically, I never do that type of thing, right? So anyways, yeah, my experimentation probably should be on the lower buy-in tournaments and just kind of play my game for the bigger ones.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
disappointing too, because I actually feel like if I just played my normal game, it's very possible that I would have just slid easily into day two and then just gone deep
it's all
and
right though.
just silly.
I think it could just be one of those like growing pains situations, right? You know how it's like every time you
Yeah,
learn a new concept, you get worse because you don't quite get it, but you're trying, and then you figure it out and you're good, right? It's probably just that kind
yeah,
of set.
yeah.
Um, Kyle has a question. What kind of bankroll do we recommend for tourneys? So, you know, as I said before, we both have jobs. So for me, the bankroll is more of like what can you replenish without, what's your budget more like, and I've said this before. If you have a day job, I like to think of it more of in the realm of a budget than a bankroll.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
Now, since I've been winning, and since once you start winning and you build a bankroll, if you want to manage it very carefully that way, um, I don't have any hard and set rules right now. It has, because I'm still, because I work, I don't worry about it that much. I just try not to decimate my bankroll. So I don't really have any strong advice there other than go watch some Jonathan Little videos or something. What do you got, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard something like 30 or 40 buy-ins, right? Is probably what you should kind of maintain in terms of a bankroll to be playing tournaments. So because of the extreme high variance of it, but I know that's a number that I think I read a really long time ago.
Gotcha. Yeah. But for me, if I'm talking to someone who's a break even player, or someone who's like, if you're not a massive winner and you have a day job, I would probably say it's safer to think of it in terms of a budget.
Yeah.
That's the way I always approached it anyways. You have a budget, you get a big score, now you have a bankroll, try and manage that. I would try and honestly just manage it the way you're managing your budget. If you can, just, you can be a little freer, but that's kind of what I would say to start out. And then after that, seek some professional help, because I don't have anything for you. I'm very conservative with my bankroll though. So
Yeah, but I would look at it that probably that way, like 30 or 40 buy-ins is probably safe for whatever buy-in level that you're playing, and obviously just be willing to move down as soon as that starts going on the right. Your bankroll management is probably as important as just strategically studying how to, play hands and things like that.
I think it's more important, especially if you're on a fixed bankroll, honestly.
Yep, exactly.
Because no matter how good you are, if you put all your money on the table, you are like at least even if you're amazing, you're like 40% to go broke. And I'm talking like in a cash game.
Right.
So that seems poor. All right. So I think it's time to hit our roundup. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. We need to hire like a graphics guy or something. We need a thing that comes on the screen, like a whoosh, right? Like weekly,
and then like some music.
Yeah, right. All right. If you're into that and you want to do some cheap labor, let us know. Okay. So this week at the LAPC, well, I'm actually kind of happy it's this, because I wanted to take a little time off, to be honest. This week is all about the 10K. This week at the LAPC, it's pretty much nothing but satellites. Satellites and then one-day events, but when it gets really close, there are no more one-day events, and it is only the 10K. The 10K starts on Saturday, and it goes Saturday day one. There's only a single day one, and then
I didn't know that.
Yep, there's only a single day one. So Saturday, I will verify that right now. But here's the structure.
Interesting.
Yep, Saturday, and then Sunday starts at 12, Monday at 12, Tuesday at 12 if necessary, that kind of thing. All the levels in 90 minutes.
I'm not confident it's going to be a huge turnout for it, but obviously I hope for the best and hope a lot of people show up for that 10K.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people enter, but I don't know. I'm not planning on playing all week, nothing but satellites. So there's $200 satellites that will get you into the $1,100 satellites, and then the $1,100 satellites get you right in. There are one days at what time? At noon. They're still running $250 one days. All the way up until Thursday, I think. I don't believe there are any on Friday. So yeah,
I'm gonna predict that like a third of that ballroom would be empty, and they could have probably run something like a one-day tournament at like, I don't know, 1 p.m. or something on that day. They could have done that.
Yeah. So on Saturday, it is very puzzling if there's nothing else going on Saturday. I don't know why.
They're not gonna fill up the whole room, so I don't.
Sunday they are running the regular one-day events, the 50K ERT 400, and then the night 250. So Sunday, the one days are back. Those are your normal ones, so that's good. And then next week, they have some interesting events. See, I wish, now this would have competed with the 10K, but I wish that this like 1100 six-handed had happened on the weekend or on Friday. I would have loved to play that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not coming on Monday. I mean, I would absolutely love to have played that, but I can't. And then they have a 250 six-handed at 6 p.m. So, if I lived closer, I would go to that. And then
I wonder who's actually going to come here for the 10K, because that's really going to be what drives the attendance for that 1K 6 max on Mondays. How many people are actually coming in from out of town to play?
Right. I don't know. Like, I feel like this 10K will be a lot of people from the satellites, because they've been giving away 2 or 3 seats per satellite, so that'll give them, that's at least 30 entries or something there, and then we'll see what happens. So that's pretty much what's going on this week with the LAPC until our next show. Over at Hollywood Park, this week there's nothing particularly special, except on Saturday, they're actually running a Big O birthday event on the 24th. It is a $125 plus $76 tournament. We actually have a little extra information about that. It's apparently Robert Chip Burner Turner's birthday. Oh, and the plus 76 is because it's his 76th. No. Yeah, birthday 76. That must be his 76th birthday.
Yeah,
right?
76th birthday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Turner's, I guess, LA legend's been around forever. Plays a bunch of mixed games, a bunch of games. Might have written Poker too, I don't remember, but yeah, he's pretty well known in the LA poker community for sure.
Yeah, so they're giving away free food vouchers. You know, they've incorporated that into a couple places, $10,760 guarantee. So yeah, it could be fun if you're into Big O. Get on down there.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
There's also a bounty on his head too, so if you bust Robert, you get $500.
Special bounty on Chip Burner. You got to figure out who he is if you're like me. But apparently, if you've been playing around here forever, you know. Yep.
You remember that time Barbara Enright showed up and I was like, hey, you know that's Barbara Enright? And you're like, who?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, no, who's I? And then I Googled her. I'm like, oh, that's actually cool. All right, great. Yep.
I busted her. I busted a Hall of Famer. Nice. I didn't get a bounty or anything, but
nice. I had yeah, no, I'm still floating over getting to bust Dan Smith when he got short stacked at WPT.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was like wounded and down, but like I'll take it. Yep. And then on Sunday, Hollywood Park has their 10K bankroll builder. That's the 100 plus 100. So that's all right. But on Sunday, I'm going to be at Commerce for the 50K guarantee. I know that. But this one is a cheaper price.
Yeah, I'll probably be there for that one too.
Yep. And then moving around town, of course, there are still the regular dailies down at the Gardens, which are always awesome. They always pretty much double their guarantees. And then over here at Lucky Lady, they have their regular ones, but this weekend is when they're going to do their 20K guarantee stacked Saturday, which is on the 24th. That starts at 3 p.m. and you get 50K starting chips. I believe this is the same structure as one that I played before, in which case they take their regular daily structure and just give you twice as many chips, which is honestly a bit absurd. It plays very strangely and it gets super fast at the end, but man, you get a lot of chips for a while. A lot of chips for a long
time. I don't understand tournaments that do that. It's like it should literally just always be the other way, where it plays fast early and then just slow at the end. Yep. Man, I'm still just completely blown away by how well structured these LAPC tournaments are. That ridiculous hour-and-a-half bubble that we had in that one day, we got down and we were still something like 22 bigs average, right, going into the final table.
Wow.
And this is and we had more than double the guarantee, right? It was like 120 or something, right? 120K off of 50K. So a lot of people showed up and we still were, it was just unbelievably well structured tournaments at LAPC. So kudos to obviously to DJ and the staff.
Let's see. Kyle's telling us Hamul has a $600 tournament, 125 guaranteed on Saturday. I live in Santa Clarita, so I will not be driving to Hamul. But if you are listening to us from more of the kind of OC, maybe Irvine side of town, definitely check those out. I believe Hamul is doing a Run Good series right now. So yeah, definitely check that schedule out if you are down there. Caitlin says you are not an ally. I don't know when they typed that, but of something. All right. So that is it. That's all we got for the show. If you do go down to Lucky Lady, maybe you bust out over at Commerce, you want to go over there, I recommend max late regging that one. If it's the same tournament as before, which I think it is, I actually final tabled that off of a max late reg bullet. And like I said, you get 50K chips, and I think the structure is the same as the dailies, so you have plenty of chips at max late reg.
But if you just like playing poker, you don't mind playing poker all day, obviously just go show up early.
Oh yeah,
play.
Of course.
I like getting there early.
Of course.
But you can always just if you want to just sleep in for a couple hours and run some errings. That's not a bad tournament to do that for.
Caitlin says you're not a ally because you busted Barbara Enright. I got it.
Yeah, she was. She was it was really funny because she was wearing like a hat and like sunglasses, and I probably hadn't seen her in like really long time.
And she had massive ponytails or whatever, or braids, right?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this lady is playing lights freaking, like, no joke. She was playing so good. And I was like, who is this person? And then when I realized who it was, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But she was playing unbelievable poker.
Yep. And shout out to Naswip giving a plug for your channel. Loves your blog.
Light track comedy, right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't been updating the vlog as much, but hopefully I'll make a good deep run in something soon and get a good video up.
You don't need a deep run, just make your bust outs funnier, man.
Yeah, that's true.
People want to see pain, they want to see blood.
I could just turn it into like I just fired 7 bullets at a thing and watch me suffer.
Look, Rampage did it. Why can't you?
That's true. That's true. He's made a name for
Template.
punting.
Yeah, we have to come up with a new name that's like that. Not just he's got ram punts. What can we do?
Yeah.
All
Quants
right.
punts.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll come up with something. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Like I said, next week's the 10K. If you can play, good luck. I don't think we'll be there in that particular field, but we'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you around town, and as always, thanks for joining us. And until next time, we will see you at the tables.
See you at the table.